All right, so Chris, how did you learn about using newspaper and cardboard to help with weed control?
Last summer, I went to the open garden session that the Master Gardeners had in July at the Carville Center. And I was walking around and I came across this demonstration area that showed different types of ways of getting a garden started. And one of them was using layers of newspaper to establish a bed.
Nice. And so you decided to do that at home?
I did. I waited till the end of so we get a weekly paper here that's, I don't know if I can mention it, Coastal Point or the Cape Gazette.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of their weekly cycle, they will have extra paper that's, they're just going to throw away. So I collected that, and then I used, multiple sheets, 3 sheets across my area of my garden right here.
Uh-huh.
And then I covered that with compost that I had, and then I just started planting. I first started with spring bulbs like crocuses, and I moved some roses into the bed, my yellow roses. Nice. And then I just started adding plants cutting into the mulch in the newspaper, and just and planting there. And I have hardly any weeds. And it was such an easy way to get started and put a new bed in front of my house.
That's really cool. So Karen, I'm going to spotlight you because I think you're really an expert at using this, and you've used it in for lasagna gardening and some of the other beds that we have at the demonstration garden.
Yeah, you're right, Tracy. I found it to be a very, very successful, easy way to get a bed started, whether it be in the ground or in a container. Just starting out with cardboard or newspaper suppresses all those weeds or turf if you're trying to get rid of turf. And it looks like that's what you did, Chris, right? You put it over what used to be existing lawn.
Yes, and I wouldn't even call it lawn. It was a wiregrass.
Oh, okay.
It's notoriously hard to kill and get, under control. But this just smothered it. It was great.
The great thing about it too is you're not using any harmful chemicals. It's completely organic. I've used it in a number of community gardens, and you can actually build up soil, continuing that layering process. That's what lasagna gardening is all about. After the compost, peat moss, shredded newspaper, sawdust, anything, grass clippings, as long as they haven't been sprayed. It just, you're making soil, and you can plant in it immediately, because there's a book out called Lasagna Gardening by Patricia Lanza that shows these techniques, and they've been proven. And I can say we've grown in it, and the produce was terrific. So I'm sold.
And the flowers are beautiful.
Yay, that's for sure.
Well, and I'll also say that I helped with a raised bed for a small community garden at a health center, and I literally didn't have anything. Like when I got there, I wasn't sure exactly where we were placing the bed. It was like, do everything once you get there kind of thing. And same deal, they had beautiful turf where we were going to set the bed. And so I literally took the box that we had the raised bed in, that it came in, and I cut it open, pulled it apart, and laid it down, and then we put our soil in, and they planted, and they had a beautiful garden. So, it does work in multiple situations. And so, Linda, did you want to talk about how we've used some of these same techniques in our garden at the office, at our demonstration garden?
Yes, at the demonstration garden, because we're only working there once a week, it's sometimes hard to keep up with weeds. So what we have done in our pathways, we have laid down cardboard, a thick cardboard, and then put sawdust over them to make a nice even pathway. In the garden beds themselves, many of us use a layer of newspapers, 3 or 4 sheets, and put it under the mulch. It breaks down over the year, so we pretty much do it almost every year, but it makes a tremendous difference in the amount of weeds that we get. It really suppresses quite well.
Yeah, and one of the things that we've done as a way of, recycling, in some of our pathways we use sawdust, which for those of you, we're not promoting that as mulch around our plants because that sawdust usually has to continue to break down and will rob nitrogen from the soil. But it allows us to amend the soil and build it up over time, and then we can change the areas of our beds as we need to. So we can make them as big or as small as we want to over time. So it's a great way of letting nature do what it does best.
Right. And you know what? It's sustainable. I mean, we're removing less off of our properties and sending it to landfill. I mean, you really can. And I kind of, that's a challenge for me. I don't want to see anything go off my property that can be reused. So lasagna gardening lets you do that, or this type of layering process.
Yeah. So, well, thank you all for sharing. I think this is a great short garden tip that anybody can use. Let's face it, we all, especially in the times we're in at this point, everybody's getting things delivered. You have extra boxes, that we need to recycle, but this is one way we can keep them at home and use them in a different way. So
Right.
Thank you all very much.
Yeah, every time I've talked to somebody about this, they've been so surprised. It's like people who are outside of our gardening world, they don't really know about these things. So it's a good thing to publicize.
Yeah, it's a great thing to share. Great tip.
The other thing too is it's an easier form of gardening. It's less work. It's less taxing on the body. So it's great for us as we age and we don't have to give up gardening, but it's also fantastic. It's a generational thing. The kids have a blast with it. They love being involved in something like this. So, it's a great project for families who are stuck at home right now wondering, and pretty soon it'll be time to put in a fall garden. So, they can be thinking ahead now, saving their leaves, dried leaves, saving the things that could go into making soil.
And if you want to know the recipe or you really get into lasagna gardening, we have a video of how to do that we have on our website, which we can share as well. So for those of you who may not be familiar with Cooperative Extension, we have an Ask an Expert option on our website. And we also have a garden helpline that you can call at any time and chat with some of our great volunteers like you see here to help you learn more and maybe solve some of the problems you're dealing with as a gardener here in Sussex County. Thank you all.